Coming up on the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast.
But in terms of daily habits, something really powerful that will involve the body that I think your audience will probably enjoy because it will also hit the exercise piece as well as the motion piece is dancing. Putting on some music for 5 to 10 minutes every morning. Now, 10's a little bit long, but you don't need 10. 5 would be enough, but milk it. Like if you want to get some exercise in, use 10. Find a playlist that you can put 5 or 10 songs on it and just jam, like dance, move around. Close your curtains if you don't think you're a good dancer and you're embarrassed. Like just do whatever you want to do, but just something that gets you excited. I don't care what kind of music it is either. Something that makes you feel alive, makes you want to move your body. And everybody has that kind of music. So if you start your day with a solo dance party, you will probably have a good day.
Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I'm Brian Grin, and I'm here to give you actionable tips to get your body back to what it once was 5, 10, even 15 years ago. Each week, I'll give you an in-depth interview with a health expert from around the world to cut through the fluff and get you long-term sustainable results. This week, I interviewed best-selling author, podcast host, and empowerment specialist, Flizanes. JJ helps people identify sabotaging patterns and transmute struggle into joy. We discussed what is wrong with affirmations, along with how to get uncomfortable and grow emotionally, the importance of discovering your core wounds, how to manifest what you want, the best way to start your day, and much, much more. Really enjoyed my interview with JJ. I know you will too. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin and I have JJ Flizanes on. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on all the way from Ojai, California.
Yes. For anyone that knows where that is, it's like the best kept secret. So I don't actually, if you don't know, don't look it up. It's not Ohio. People think, oh, Ohio? No, Ojai. Anyway, but it's fine. If you've watched the movie Easy A with Emma Stone, it is filmed here in Ojai.
I've heard great things. I have a good friend that moved there. How long have you been there?
Well, we bought a house and moved 3 years ago, but I've been coming here for 24 years on a regular basis, spend many holidays, birthdays, New Year's, week-long, month-long. I've done retreats up here. So while I hadn't lived here full-time until 3 years ago, I've been here a lot.
And you are an empowerment, let me say this again. You are an empowerment strategist.
Yes.
The first one I've ever had on.
And might be the last. No, I'm kidding. I have actually trained a whole bunch of trainers. So I have a lot of coaches that work with me. So who knows? You may have one of them on in the future also. But yeah, I was a personal trainer for many years before I rebranded because my kind of personal training included the mental and the emotional and the spiritual along with the physical. So I couldn't just stay there. It was too much of a box for me.
Yeah, I like that you sort of have gone this route. I mean, I think that like I do personal training and I've done it for a long time, but like the mental side and the emotional side, so even with, men, women, doesn't matter, is such a big component and it sort of gets overlooked.
Oh yeah. I mean, most of my clients were men and they thought I was cute. Like, cause I want to teach them about law of attraction, or I'd ask them. I mean, my kind of cute was like yelling at them about the fact that their back pain was rage. No, it's repressed anger. It's not physical. It's not physical. It's not physical. Or, you're an emotional eater. So we have to deal with that. You have to learn how to process your emotions. Otherwise you just sabotage all the work we do by emotionally eating. I don't know why why you don't want to do this. Oh, I already have a therapist. I'm like, yeah, well, she's not doing a very good job. So, so if you want to work on this, but yeah, they loved me, but it was one of those, like it took 8 years to get one person to look at their back pain differently. I'm like, okay, if you keep thinking it's physical, why didn't you listen to me after he finally got it and the back pain went away?
Does it work to yell at your clients?
It does when they're older men that think you're funny. Yeah, but I don't usually yell at someone I don't have a good relationship with. But I'm a yeller sometimes out of drama because it's entertaining. No, more like frustration, because there's only so, and it's, again, they thought I was cute. They think it's funny. I don't yell at somebody who'd be offended by it. So, we're talking about long-term relationship here, 8-10 years.
And so how long have you been doing this and what brought you into this type of healing?
The fact that the body was my way in, but the body is a messenger. The body tells you things. The body is is your intuition. It's your subconscious, and it's going to talk to you, and you have to listen to it. So you can come in and want to change things, but if you're not in a good relationship with your body, and my first book, Fit to Love, which became the podcast, was really about the relationship people have with their bodies in the gym that I really didn't like. Like when I had a manager back in 2000 and must have been eight or nine.
Okay.
And he said, you need to write a book. And I said, I'd been featured on in magazines, newspapers, named as personal trainer in Los Angeles from Elite Traveler magazine. Like I had all the accolades. He's like, you need to write a book. And I was like, well, what's my story? I'm not the person who lost 100 pounds and then now wants to help
Mm.
everybody lose 100 pounds. So, and that's kind of like what you expect in the fitness industry. And I wasn't necessarily like a bodybuilder per se, and I wasn't competing. And so like, what's my story? And I had to figure that out. And my story
Mm.
was really self-care from the place of self-love, not self-hate, and using your self-care routine to attract love into your life, but it has to be from you first. And so that's kind of where it started. And like being able to walk into the gym and feel like you can feel it, it's palpable. You can tell who's on the treadmill literally in their head saying, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And they're just there because if they don't lose weight, like they're desperate to change their body because they want someone else to love them and they want to love them, but they're doing it, as far as I'm concerned, the wrong way. You can't start with you hate yourself and if you lose a few pounds, then you're going to maybe consider liking yourself. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because that's what brings people sort of into the gym or maybe to hire a trainer in the first place, right? They want to get a certain outcome or they want to lose weight. But you're saying that they're doing it sort of backwards.
Shame will never motivate you long term. So you have to have a better reason. And if it isn't self-love, which is what I was hoping people would choose, I was 21 harping about joint integrity. Like, who cares about joint integrity? I did, because I saw the writing on the wall. If you do walking lunges and really stupid exercises and dips for your like, you're going to wreck your joints. So when you get to the place where now you can't exercise because you've literally created an injury, you're going to all your progress goes right out the window. Like, care about your joints. They're your brake pads. And unlike your car, you can't change them. I mean, you can try and there's injections and all the things, but like you get one set, like treat them well and pay attention to your biomechanics. So that way, don't be so ready to just jump off to take tires and lift them off, and whatever, all crazy. People get bored. So they look for like the next greatest exercise thing that's going on. Science is still science, and your biomechanics is still biomechanics. I don't care if you're swinging a chair around your head or, rolling a tire down the street. Like, if you don't understand the science, you're not going to understand why you're getting results or why you're getting injured. So that science doesn't change. Maybe the application of the force does, because people get bored and they're on to the next fitness craze. And I also found that a lot of people in the fitness industry, and I don't know you well enough to, so this is not a judgment against you, but a lot of people in the fitness industry are control freaks. So it's that whole, as long as I am super disciplined forever, I can white knuckle things. And again, in that is still, it's fear-based, it's shame-based, it's fear-based. And it just wasn't an industry that I enjoyed because of those reasons. And honestly, that is why people most of the time, most of us don't want to feel uncomfortable ever. So we don't until, we don't search things out that might be hard for us physically, emotionally, or spiritually until we're pushed to. And that's why I think a lot of people manifest all kinds of diseases and chronic illnesses, because it forces them. The body was talking, you ignored it, you're not paying attention to it. So, and I'm not trying to shame anybody for that either. Just saying that the body's going to keep talking until it gets louder and louder, and so loud it's going to flatten you on your back until it knows you're listening. So, but I think that's part of our responsibility in how we, look at our lives. Really, I mean, it's a law of attraction. So, how I got into this work was just that. It's sort of I was a glorified babysitter for a little while, even though all my clients their joints were better, their flexibility was better, all the things were better, and they weren't really growing past that. And I was. And I had said to one of my clients, you guys only use 25% of my gifts. I'm kind of bored. Like, you don't want anything else I'm learning. And I'm learning it and trying it on myself. I'm not just spouting things and reading a book and telling you to do something I'm not doing. So again, it was really more the holistic. And then just being able to, how many women, it's mostly women, but how many women do they want help, you give them the help, and then they don't do the help. for whatever 10 reasons a Sunday, or they start and they sabotage. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of tools that I have that can address those things. But when they come in sometimes, not always, but they come in through the physical personal training route, they compartmentalize and say, well, I don't want to do that here. Well, I have a therapist. Okay, right. But this is where you're getting triggered. This is where you're wanting to push through. And what I've ended up doing over the last, 6 years, but mostly the last 2 years, is I've taken the personal training sort of, I'm going to hold the space for you to grow and push yourself beyond your comfort zone and put it in the realm of mental, emotional, and spiritual. Because most people won't do that without, they're not going to get uncomfortable willingly. So they need a trainer, if you will, to help push them and keep expanding, but on purpose, very specifically, choose things for the person. It's not random. It's not everyone just go bungee jump. It's not like that, but it's a specialized and personalized way of healing some of your wounds.
And I hear you talk about core wounds. What is this? Can maybe touch a little bit about this and why people want to know about them?
Well, if anyone has ever wanted to understand why they do anything that they do and why they keep repeating the patterns that they keep repeating, why they're in the job they're in, the relationship they're in, the money that they have, it all goes back to your core wounds. It's all the core wounds from the time you're born until 7. And of course, there are other energies like inherited emotional DNA and generational things that get passed down energetically. I'm not addressing those right now. I'm addressing you and your physical body in your current life and what you can do about it. And from 0 to 7, we do not have a consciousness in our brain. Our brains develop consciousness between 7 and 8. So your brain just records like it's facts. And if you're crying in the other room and your parents don't come immediately, your brain records, I was abandoned, I'm ignored, I'm not important. And this is like our subconscious being created. And so these are the beliefs that we live by, but we don't know what they are. And so when you're in therapy or when you're trying to problem solve a current situation and you're just looking at the current situation, even if you see that there's a pattern that you keep doing it, until we get to the root of what the belief is, you're trying to change just the circumstances to feel temporarily better, but we're actually never getting to the root of it.
And getting into the root of it, like, I know I'm sure this could take time for some people, but how does an individual like get to the root of the things that are affecting them today?
Yeah, well, it's like therapy and coaching, training. It's like doing a program with this in mind. So it's the same way you'd meet with someone and say, what are your physical goals? And I'm sure that the physical list is not just exercise. I'm sure there's something about mindfulness, meditation, stress reduction, emotion, possibly hormones, sleep, water, right? All the things that I see that you've covered on your show. So it's not just the exercise piece. There's probably a multifaceted pronged approach to how the body is going to respond. Well, it's the same thing with the emotional side. And so that physical plan that you make somebody might take 3 months, 6 months, a year. It's a lifestyle. It's continuing to, when someone plateaus. Like I had a client years ago as a trainer. She's been with me now the whole time, like 13 years into the emotional stuff. But, when I first started working with her, and she was definitely motivated in a different way by a negative stimulus, not a positive stimulus. But, it took her, with only working out twice a week, she lost 100 pounds in 3 years. And using the FIT principle, frequency, intensity, time, and type, looking at, okay, you only have 2 days a week. How are we going to maximize what you do? And every time you plateau, we change the program and make it a little bit harder so that you keep progressing. So over 3 years between food and exercise, now, you might have started out doing the recumbent bike and now you're doing the elliptical trainer, or you're, doing races and you're kind of jogging or whatever. Like that continues to get results. And that becomes a lifestyle also to maintain that, hopefully. But with the emotional piece, it's no different in that we start with what's the current problem, and then how do we kind of go back and collect some data, understand what the core wounds are, and then make a plan based on those core wounds and based on your own habits and patterns to create new neural pathways. I don't want to say undo because you can't undo it, but what you can do is create new neural pathways. You can create new beliefs, and you can take that really hot circuit of I'm not enough or I've been abandoned, and you can start to decrease its intensity. You can start shortening the circuit and how long it takes for you to run through it in your brain. You can reduce the amount of intensity you feel when you get triggered, to the point where you're not triggered any longer. And you can see that you're now different. I have a saying that came out of watching a lot of therapists and having therapists as clients of mine, personal training clients and podcast clients. And I would see a lot of like, oh, if you aren't, again, this is therapy, not personal training. If you're an overeater, you're an emotional eater. So don't go to the buffet. Don't go to the party, or eat before you come, and don't go over to the table. It was all about replacing habits, but never dealing with the issue. So it was avoiding in many ways. And it was really frustrating to watch, because I'm like, you're not healing anything. You're just avoiding. You're losing weight because you're avoiding the temptation. Well, what happens when you can't control life any longer, and boom, that temptation's right in front of you? So to me, healing is when you're different in the same exact situation. That's how you know you're making progress, because you don't have to change circumstances to feel differently. You're different.
And do you see like a common theme among people? Like you brought up just like how people can heal emotionally, or like because maybe they were abandoned, or whatever it is. Like, do you see like a common theme with a lot of people that come to see you to sort of become better, or I don't know.
Well, there's not, I mean, I think I have a list of maybe 20 something words for core wounds. So there's not like an unlimited amount of core wound words. Like I have a framework that I use from Imago therapy, which is created by Harville Hendricks and Helen LaKelly Hunt. And I love Harville to death, and they've both been on my show many times. And I love Imago therapy. I think it's the best relationship therapy out there. So if you're going to go to therapy, choose Imago therapy.
I've never heard of that, but now I have.
Yeah, Imago, Imago. It means in the image of. So the main principle of Imago is that you choose your partners to heal the wounds of your past. And again, that's a subconscious thing. It's a subconscious program that says, I was abandoned, and you remind me of my dad. You have similar traits. Again, none of this is conscious. And my brain says, oh, I can get from you what I didn't get from him. And then I go, oh, that's how some attraction happens. It's this familiarity and this hopefulness. And of course, in every relationship, we're all in the honeymoon phase for at least the first, year to 2 or 3 years, where you're doing all the things. Everybody's dopamine and serotonin is like really, really high, because you're all in your best behavior and everything is right. And then you start to settle into your life, and the stuff comes up to the surface, and now it's the same stuff or similar stuff to your parents. And then you end up saying, oh, I either made a mistake or you need to change. And then we don't know how to deal with it. So anyway, Imago therapy is an awesome application. And I use all parts of Imago therapy in the work that I do, not in a therapeutic sense, yes, in a therapeutic sense, but in a coaching sense, and not necessarily with couples. Even though I've worked with couples, I believe that one person has the power to change their relationship, because it's about changing you first. Because when you're the common denominator and you make shifts in you, everyone else around you and everything around you will shift. So we start with what you're responsible for. How can you start to change? We don't force anybody else to have to do something different so that you feel better. We don't want to be victims. We want to be, the creator of our own reality. So we use these. I use that core wound exercise as the base, but I've expanded upon it. I don't know. I've deepened that work. I mean, you can buy an Imago workbook. It's called Getting the Love That You Want is the book. There's many books, but that's the main book, Getting the Love That You Want. And there's a workbook that goes along with it. So people can do it on their own. And you can even do this core wound exercise on your own. But it's not going to tell you what I would tell you, because I have a different approach to using it. It's one piece in a many step process in Imago. I've extracted that piece and said, this is its own thing. And from there, I've actually created something called a core wound map, which I would think is sort of like taking someone's all their information, all their stats, all their measurements, all their allergies and hormones and sleep and all the things, and then making them a plan. So the map is sort of the plan. It's the data collection, it's the analysis, it's the reflection back to how you participate in it, and then there's a plan involved, a plan of how am I going to heal the wound of abandonment. And I'll just give you an example. And there are patterns, but everyone has some version of abandoned or devalued or ignored or suppressed or controlled or made to feel guilty or disapproved of. Like, those are really common ones. And if one of your core wounds is abandoned, after we see how you react, like how your brain, because sometimes a trigger happens so fast, you're not conscious of it. All you know is you're now in a feeling and in a reaction, because it can happen super fast. And once we can deconstruct it and start to create some space to observe it, We can also ask ourselves, well, how do you abandon yourself? How do you keep that core wound alive? And again, putting the onus back on yourself, when you can look at how you continue that belief, now we can start asking of how to change it. Now we can say, well, what do I need to do to stretch out of this to send a signal to my brain that says I am valuable? How would I value myself in a real way that my body and my brain would acknowledge? And looking at, again, stretching, being able and constantly stretching, just like an exercise, like stretch, you go to failure and then you get stronger. Then you move up in weight and then you go to failure again, you get strong. Same thing, same concept.
But for the mind.
But for the mind and the heart.
Law of attraction. I've always been a fan of this stuff. I mean, I know some people don't, they don't want to either believe it or they just don't want to go down that road. But I've always been, I guess, attracted to law of attraction. Is that at the end? I've read books on it, and I mean, I like to do affirmations and do some meditation and things. What are some? Well, I guess what are some actionable things that people can maybe do on their own just to start, maybe just to bring sort of a better vibe into their life or attract things that serve them in a certain way?
Well, I got a ton. So let me think about what one thing someone could do. I'll just make a couple statements to say law of attraction is quantum physics. So it is science. There is nothing spiritual actually about it. It is physics, because everyone understands that in an old school radio dial, or even a digital radio, or a radio minus a Sirius radio, but Sirius radio applies to. You want to listen to 102.6, you can't be on 96.3. It's plain and simple. It's a frequency. It's how you get your TV to show you the program that you want. It's because you're on a signal, you're on a frequency that's picking up that signal. And then the TV is what's broadcasting the signal. So it's, and so we are broadcasting a signal all the time. We're a TV. But what's your signal broadcasting? So it's working all the time, whether you want to deal with it or not. You're always attracting. You just may not like what you're attracting, but you are responsible for it. Not because you've chosen it. I'm not blaming or shaming or saying you're wrong or anything like that. It's default. You are attracting whatever you believe. And if you don't know what you believe, just pay attention to what shows up in your life and you're going to start to see what you believe. So if you want to shift that, you want to change that, you have to start with exercising. Going to pull that right back in again, exercising what it is you do believe that is positive for you. So if someone believes, because sometimes you're not going to get someone to change a belief that they're somehow like there's a lot of fear around or a commitment to, like, oh, I can't believe something different because I've believed this all my life. And if I don't believe that, then I'm going to feel unsafe in the world. All right. So let's start with something more simple. Where people go wrong is they start with something huge, like I'm going to make $10 million next month or whatever. And your subconscious says, no, you don't believe that. So you're not going to, because you actually don't believe that. So start with something that you do believe. What could you stretch into believing? That I'm going to receive money as a gift in the mail? I'm going to have unexpected income. I'm looking forward to receive. Okay. Could you believe that? Great. Then milk that. Say that every day. Get excited about that. Increase your frequency in terms of your emotionality around that and start to say that. And I'm actually running, and I know you're all going to miss it because I'm sure this podcast is not going to air tomorrow. But I am starting a 14-day manifestation challenge on Monday. And I run them. It's like the first one was in February. So we're in June, actually in July. I don't know when the next one will be. Maybe there'll be one in September or November. I don't know. But anyway, you can go to the same page and see and sign up for the next one. They're free. They're 14 days. And
this is on your website?
No, it's actually, well, yes. If you go under, there's at the bar at the top, it's like there's limited things that happen.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
It's 14. So the pretty link is jjflizanes.com/14day 14DAY. And the next challenge will be listed there after this one is over, or at least you can sign up and then you'll be notified when the next one is. Or you can just listen to my podcast and you'll notice. I have a lot of podcasts. So you asked what people can do since they listen to podcasts. Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. If you go way back to the beginning, or just type in Law of Attraction. I've got a lot of shows specifically on Law of Attraction that will help you make sense of things. But in terms of daily habits, Something really powerful that will involve the body that I think your audience will probably enjoy because it will also hit the exercise piece as well as the motion piece is dancing. Putting on some music for 5 to 10 minutes every morning. Now, 10's a little bit long, but you don't need 10. 5 would be enough, but milk it. Like if you want to get some exercise in, use 10. Find a playlist that you can put 5 or 10 songs on it and just jam, like dance, move around. Close your curtains if you don't think you're a good dancer and you're embarrassed. Like just do whatever you want to do, but just something that gets you excited. I don't care what kind of music it is either. Something that makes you feel alive, makes you want to move your body. And everybody has that kind of music. So if you start your day with a solo dance party, you will probably have a good day. Now, affirmations can work, but if you're out of alignment and you're saying affirmations, then they'll just activate the opposite of what you're asking for. So affirmations get kind of sticky in that I don't want to help someone to say, people love to give me money when you just had to pay a bunch of bills and you're like, people love to give me, like, it's not going to work. Because again, it's not about the words, it's about the energy. So the other thing that I always tell people to do is an appreciation journal. I am not a fan of the word gratitude.
Oh,
at all. And I'll tell you why. Because vibrationally, my experience has been that many people who say I'm grateful energetically are dragging along the negative story in that sentence, even if they don't tell you. Because here's what goes on in the brain. I'm grateful for this because it used to be like this. And so gratitude has a heaviness to it for me. If you say if I say I appreciate, well, think about it. Can you say I'm grateful for something without immediately thinking of why, what bad thing made you grateful for the good thing?
well, if I'm grateful for my health, I mean, I don't necessarily think of the opposite, but I could see how maybe people could.
I think a lot of people shame themselves into being grateful because they don't want the bad thing. There's a lot of heavy energy around grateful for me, not because I've used it, but because I hear people say, "Well, I used to be a drug addict, and now I'm grateful that I'm sober." I'm like, okay, that feels like crap. That whole statement right there.
So you like to appreciate? Is that what you like better?
Appreciate. It's cleaner. There's usually no attachment. What do you appreciate? There's no story. Because we're not used to saying, because gratitude has been used as I'm grateful for because I used to do this, I'm grateful for this. And again, I find there's a lot of attachment vibrationally. So appreciation just feels cleaner. So I make an appreciation journal, and every night before you go to bed, and you can do this in the morning too, if you'd like to, but I'd prefer you dance because I think that will physically get you, like, get all the juices flowing and get your brain set in the right place and the music is so powerful to sort of embed some frequencies into you that day and really set you on a higher frequency. So music, and dancing, the two together is a winning combination. But at night before you go to bed, rather than just going to bed, because most of us think, oh my God, what did I do? Like, what didn't work today? What do I got to do tomorrow? Like, you have this running list of things that either you didn't do, you didn't accomplish, or you need to do tomorrow. Okay, that is not going to help you sleep or vibrate high. So after you're done with that conversation, or maybe consider writing it out so you can stop spinning it in your head, do an appreciation journal where on one side of the page, I'll show you mine, you write at the top, I appreciate. Oh, I did some serious writing there. I don't normally write. Okay, I'll give you two versions. Okay, so this one I wrote out, but this one I did bullet points.
Okay.
So I'm fine. I prefer the bullet points actually, because again, I think that's cleaner. But you just say, I appreciate. You don't have to write, I appreciate. Like, I did it. I did keep writing, I appreciate. But you can write at the top, I appreciate, and then just bullet point all things you appreciate. And the point of this is because things in front of you, you have all things available to you. You could decide, I'm going to worry today. And I promise with the point of view of worry, you will find things to worry about. You can get up and say, I am going to be lucky today. And with that point of view and that determination, you will find things that will make you feel lucky. You can get up and say, I'm going to feel happy today. Same thing. You're going to attract and align with the things you're searching for. I'm searching for things that make me happy. That's all it is. We're just focusing. So I'd rather people to focus on feeling good before they go to bed and all things that they did appreciate, because the more you appreciate, the more will show up for you to appreciate.
Yeah, I like that. What about playing an instrument?
Great. Yeah, if it brings up positive feelings. I'm not saying avoid negative feelings, And maybe you do need to play an instrument in order to cry, to let out the gas and to create some space for positivity. That would be great. But, don't be addicted to sort of the victim spiral of like, in case you play a song and every time you play it, you cry. Like, no, then that, put that down for right now. Like, that's not, let's visit that at another time. Find positive things or play the instrument that makes you feel alive.
Got it. Yeah, no, I like that. I'll change my, because I do use grateful a lot. I'll go to appreciate.
Just try it. Just try
Try.
it for a
Yeah.
month and see how you feel.
Okay. And then what is the invisible fitness formula?
I wrote a book in 2017. It was an ode to my time as a personal trainer. I was ready to move on from that conversation. And I had been training at that point, I don't know, 25 years. Anyway, so it had been a while and I wanted to take everything I had learned and I thought of all the people I've worked with, if I had to extract like what's the best advice I could give anybody, that was that. So it's the Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 Secrets to Release Weight and End Body Shame. And I was married at the time. Although it was not a good time. And not even a year later, I was separated, but I had manifested my current partner, my forever partner, my soon to be forever partner. But I knew that at the time. And so I attracted, and one of the greatest things about law of attraction, which is why I am, and I will claim my first event in 2018, I had people from all over the world come to my event and someone said, I don't know what they said. It was something. And I said, look, I'm not an expert in law of attraction. They went, yes, you are. I was like, okay, all right, I'll claim it. And I claim it now because one of the most challenging things to do in law of attraction is to live in a frequency of a reality that you don't see. It's when you can do that you get what you're vibrating about. It's not see it, then believe it.
Can you say that again?
Sure. It's living in a frequency, living in a reality that you can't see. So if I want something better than I have to be able to vibrate at a place where that thing exists. So if I look at my life and the thing doesn't exist in my life, then I have to vibrate at a level I'm not currently living at. To do that, you can't look at what is and react from your current situation. You have to visualize and activate from a higher place that there's no proof of yet. That's the hardest part of law of attraction, which is why most people can't do it, because they're looking for physical evidence first. And that's the reverse of how it works. The reverse is you have to be in the frequency to even see it. You can't see it if you're not in it. The analogy I give is like you have a tall building and let's make each floor a frequency level. And if I'm on the first floor, I can't see what's happening on the second floor or third or fourth or fifth or sixth. I can only see what's happening there. So the frequency will dictate what your experience is. In order to have a new experience, you have to be able to sustain a frequency that you currently don't see in order to bring whatever you want into reality. So I got very good at that in my marriage. And I was a very happy person. People didn't even know what was going on because I'm the creator of my own reality. I don't need someone else to perform in a way to make me happy. I don't need anybody else or anything else to make me happy. I understand how to do that. And again, but that is deciding how I want to feel, how I want to be, and then anchoring that in. Now, of course, I'm human. So of course, life happens and you fall that off and you're back into the reality with your person or whatever. But that's sort of what happens. And so I learned how to do that very, very well. So in this book that I wrote in 2017 originally, I did talk about law of attraction a little bit, but then I had started my podcast in 2014. We're coming on 10 years. I kept thinking, man, I'd shame about, I don't have an audiobook. And then I thought, well, you know what? I want to take it away from that publisher too. I'd like to bring the book back. So this January, I re-released the second edition of the Invisible Fitness Formula. So this is my galley copy. So this line is normally not here. Let me just do this. This is the second edition and it now has an audiobook. And actually, as I went through it, reading it and doing it for the audiobook, it was, there wasn't too much I changed. I changed a bunch of things, but there wasn't anything huge. And then, of course, I was able to promote the podcast and say, up-to-date information is always being shared on the podcast or on the video on YouTube. So I wrote that book to start with, at least to like pay homage to and respect to my journey as a personal trainer. Yes, I still use all of that information today, but I don't work with people who aren't willing to do the emotional work. I don't do just physical things anymore.
Yeah. And so getting on that higher frequency, let's just use an example because I'm a golfer, right? So what are good ways to get on a higher frequency? Because what you see a lot with people is they like they hover around that same. I don't know if you're familiar with golf that much, but like everyone has like golf handicap, right? Where they're like at this. It's almost similar to like someone has a body set weight sort of thing, right? They always come back to that, and you see that a lot. Like, let's say someone's a 3 handicap, and they're probably been a 3 handicap for a long time, and they have a tough time breaking through to get to that next level. Like, how can people sort of get on a higher frequency and get to that next level?
You could pretend it's a different story. So you could embody and pretend that you're somebody who doesn't have that handicap. So it would be better if you have a person in mind, a very specific person. And just like when athletes are training, like they've, I don't know if you've seen The Secret. I know it's in The Secret, but it's in more than just The Secret, where they set up, you're like on a EKG or whatever advice, got electrodes all over your head. And the same muscles will be fired when someone's thinking about running the same race that they're going to physically run. So it's no different. So now we just have to get there with you before you hit the ball. So close your eyes and practice this, possibly not when you're on the golf course. But I think it's important to practice it on the golf course too while you're in it. But pretend being somebody different. Know their swing. Know their movements. Know their attitude. Sense into what they feel, and then embody them and let your story go and pretend to be them hitting that ball and see what happens. But you have to believe it. You have to really pretend that you're either an actor or that you've embodied that you've been the body snatcher, and you've taken your spirit into that body and you've taken it over. You have to really believe it in that moment as you're striking the ball. If you have doubt that kicks you out of it, then it won't work. You have to get into that mindset, into that frequency, to have a different reality in terms of the brain and how the body reacts.
So imagine you're almost someone that is in that place that you want to be. And that could be in golf or anything else. And that you've almost like changed into that person. And you just try to imagine that day in, day out.
Yeah, I have a lot of tools. So I'm thinking of my Awaken Your Dream Life course, but it's based on whole brain living from Joe Bolte Taylor. There's 4 parts of the brain. You could learn who your characters are. You could just pretend to be, you could not pretend, you could lean into one of your 4 characters a little bit more than the character that is probably having you fear failing again, right? It's not, you don't have to become somebody different. You can just be the version of you that is better. But you have to understand that person exists. You just haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, because I bring stuff back to golf because you see it all the time. Someone is playing the round of their life, and they got a little bit out of their comfort zone. They're not used to being in this sort of space, and you sort of see them like maybe unconsciously self-sabotage their round with like a few holes left, or they'll end up going back to what they normally would shoot because breaking through was something that was unfamiliar. And so, yeah, I think like this is an issue with golf and with probably a lot of athletes. I mean, you could probably bring that for any sport.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it depends on where your mind is. If you are reevaluating or you're self-conscious in that moment, you will self-sabotage, because that's the other part of law of attraction that people don't understand, is that you only attract what you think you deserve. So your core wounds come up in your golf because you say, well, who am I to be an excellent golfer? Who am I to get better than this in any sport? But that's where understanding it's an upper limit and how to get past that, which is to shut that part of the brain down for a second, to lean into a different reality that you're not seeing, but that you can get on board with, even if it's just like a guided visualization. It's like do a hypnosis in that moment of becoming that person, of however it needs to make sense for you. You could pretend that that's why people love Halloween. My ex-husband hated Halloween, but I'm so glad Doug likes Halloween. I mean, we're not crazy Halloween people, but people like Halloween because they get to put on a different character. They get to put on a costume, which gives them permission to be different, to allow parts of their personality out that they never dare do, right? And so it's the same thing. So put something on your body, wear something, a glove, a tie, put something in your pocket, some secret thing that makes you feel like a powerful superhero. Like that's all it takes, but you have to lean into that and not second guess it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to use some of this. It's like, this is like my session right here.
Well, you have to let me know if it works.
I will. I will. Um, Excellent. Well, what else would you say, like, as far as, gosh, I mean, you see it a lot with people, and I think this can go to anything, is like people lose weight, then they put it back on. They're on this roller coaster, like this yo-yo dieting thing, and they struggle to sort of get to where they want to go. And we've probably touched on it already, in one way or the other. But how can they, you talk about in the Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 secrets to release weight and body shame. Like, can you give us, like, can you foreshadow some of those secrets? And you might
Yeah.
have hit them already.
Well, my approach to it's there's going to be a core wound conversation that needs to happen and also an upper limit conversation, because because I had clients like this, but I didn't have the tools back then. I didn't know what I know now to see that they would only allow themselves to lose X amount of weight. For some people, especially women, if they're carrying a lot of weight, sometimes it's sexual abuse that has happened. And so they feel a certain layer of protection. There's a certain comfort in knowing that maybe they're a little bit less attractive than they would be normally. They don't like all the attention. They're trying to hide. But see, some of the people don't know that that's subconscious. Like that's something they may really, really want to, but what's really underneath it is this fear of what happens if people pay attention to me more, or if they look at me more. Am I a target? Am I unsafe? So it could be that they're feeling unsafe. That's sometimes what happens. Other times what happens is I have a friend actually who's been on this road, like as long as I've known her, she is not very disciplined, but she doesn't have her left brain has not been developed as well. She doesn't put time and energy into her left brain because she uses it for her work. And then the minute she's done with work, she shuts it down because she is so right brain. But she has no discipline when it comes to her own self-care. But one of her core wounds is abandonment. So when you reflect back, well, how are you abandoning yourself? It's in not committing to having discipline, however you need to do that. And for some people, it is going to be hiring somebody. I mean, that's why I end up creating the Rewire program, because I realized that in this, if you really understand core wounds and you've been in therapy for a while and you haven't really seen the results that you wanted to see, and you're really kind of the same person, or you've done all the things, you've quit, you've gotten divorced, you've moved away, but guess what? All the same situations are back because you took you with you. Like if you don't understand how to change what's inside of you, most of it is going to be uncomfortable. Our brains are trying to protect us and keep us the same. Mm-hmm. And anything that threatens that, even if it's not completely illogical, you could think, well, if I lose 20 pounds, people pay attention to me more, I could die. Someone could rape me and then kill me. Like literally. And it's not, and if I would reflect that back, you'd be like, that's ridiculous. I don't believe that. But I promise you that somewhere in your subconscious, there is something like that. I had an ex-boyfriend. I moved to California in 2000. This is probably around 2004. And I was noticing my behavior with him. He told me this story about how he'd gotten rid of all of his favorite ex-girlfriend's stuff and replaced it with me. Okay. Yeah, no pressure. So then I noticed myself starting to he wrote poetry, so I wrote poetry. I'd buy him these gifts and stuffed animals and frame our pictures and frame my poetry. And I was just and I took a step back once and I looked at myself and I thought, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this? It looks like, JJ, you're afraid he's going to forget you. And my conscious self would have said, that's ridiculous. He got rid of his ex-girlfriend stuff for me. He's not going to forget me. Yet I did this Holosync program, this binaural beat program way back then. And I lay down on my bed and I didn't even know why I was doing it. I was just probably, I don't know, for abundance reasons. I had started my business 4 years prior to that. So I'm laying in bed during the day and I have the earbuds in my ears, or earphones at the time, the big honking earphones, right? And I'm listening. It's a CD, so it's in a Discman, and I'm laying there listening to it. And it's just tones, it's just sounds. But what it is it's touching different parts of the brain. And then behind it is like some rain. So it's calming and soothing. And it wasn't trying to deal with this particular issue. But I remember thinking, how when you go to the old Kmart, I don't know who does this anymore, or places in New York, hey, or that big, the NASDAQ, it goes across the board, right? Mm-hmm, so in my brain, so in my brain, the question said, will he forget you? And then something in that moment, as it went across in my brain, dropped down, touched me, and I came up crying. And I was like, And I was like, oh my God, I do believe that. Now, my conscious brain didn't know I believed that, but my subconscious was like, yes, you do believe that. You are hanging on for dear life right now. I was like, oh my God. So again, there's the subconscious holds the truth, and our conscious mind doesn't have all the answers quite yet. And so we have to be able to tap in and gather that information. Sometimes you can see it. It was smart enough to recognize my own behavior. I could observe myself and say, what are you doing? You're acting like weird. And I could see that and then address it. So when it comes to, the reason why people keep sabotaging themselves and is you don't believe you deserve more. And it's uncomfortable to receive it. You don't know how to receive it because you never have. There could be something about you staying safe and not being safe if you go to someplace you haven't been for a while. And I do think it needs a deeper dive. I don't think it's as simple as that you're undisciplined, that you're not smart enough to know when, all those kinds of things. I think it needs a deeper dive.
Is there anything else that we've missed? That what would you say that? How about this? I like this question. What's one thing you've changed your mind on in the past 10, 15 years?
Me?
Yeah.
That divorce, I've changed my mind on. I was never someone who ever thought in a million freaking years I would ever get divorced. And I fought tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears, started my podcast to save my marriage. And I had to get to the place where at one point I had to value me over keeping myself married. I had to recognize that, yes, I can handle a lot and I can withstand a lot and I can do a lot and I can work a lot and I can learn a lot and I can try a lot. And at some point, while I've helped other people save their marriages by only working with one person, it wasn't supposed to be saved. And I had to learn how to forgive myself for taking responsibility for something that I only shared 50% responsibility for at the end of the day. So that absolutely wrecked me. Whole bunch of shame on that one. And honestly, but the shame was because it was public. The shame was because I have a podcast, I've written books, and I teach law of attraction, and I manifested my husband in 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, well, people are going to think law of attraction is not right because I couldn't save that marriage. And I doubt I'm going to attract my next marriage in 3 weeks. No, it was 2 hours. That's when the universe was universe is always on your side. But I literally, once I let go of control and thought, okay, well, the only hope left is for you to move out. Because maybe if you leave the situation and you can have a different point of view and perspective, give it some time, then we'll get back together and it'll be what I want and what you want, and it'll be better and we can work together. And the second I let go and said, okay, I'm going to let go and I'm going to let you leave and we'll see what happens. 2 hours later, my client also was separated from his wife. His wife walked out and didn't know that was going to turn into a thing. And then, of course, that turned into a thing. And so that was it. And all the things that I was journaling about and using law of attraction to help me with, all of the realities I was living in my mind, in my heart, and in my emotions that I wasn't living in the physical reality came to life. I manifested. The universe was like, okay, here. I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't want a new person. Universe is like, you can't get what you want from this person, and getting what you want and being in this frequency is kind of the point. It's really not about trying to extract it from one person. It's about having it, and this person fits all of the things you've been vibrating about. And I was like, oh, but I had shame about that. I'm like, I don't want to get divorced anyway. But so that was definitely something I've changed my mind on. My parents have been together, one marriage. They got engaged on their third date. I had that to live with.
Well, you do see people that typically, I know a lot of 50% of people get divorced, but like a lot of times if an individual grows up with a sort of a divorced parents, there's probably, I don't know what it is, but tends to happen to them. Not all the time, obviously.
Well, they expect it in a way, or they don't expect it, but it's okay. It's an option. For me, it wasn't even an option.
Right.
In my mind, it was never an option until it had to be the option because the gap had widened so much and I was doing so much. I was willing to take on anything, any learning, any teaching, any therapy, any whatever to uncover the problems. And but it grew me into what I'm doing now. Like I understand how it all worked, but I also didn't understand that someone literally would say, I do, and I want to be together forever. And then when there's a problem, not want to fix it. I had to learn the hard way that not everyone is me. And not everyone is going to be that committed, because when it gets hard, people run. I do very hard things in my career with people that I work with. I push people, which is why I only work with people that listen to my show. If someone's listening to this, like you say, okay, I'm ready for next rewire. No, you're not. Like I'd be tasking somebody with at least 10 more podcasts to be really sure, because when you step up that much, now there are other layers where it's not quite that in your face, but literally I'm here to push you. I'm here to grow you just like a personal trainer, but for your psyche and for your, and that's going to challenge you. So you have to be ready for the journey and you have to trust me.
Yeah. Well, this was great. I think we touched on a lot, right, JJ? Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. And it's been fun to kind of also really hopefully have it appreciated that I kept linking it back to the fitness stuff or to the personal training stuff, because it's really to me like what it is. Like I when I created the rewire, it was like, oh, I think I'm going to have to become the personal trainer again in the rewire by, instead of pushing people physically, I'm not pushing them emotionally. But that's kind of the job. And okay, that makes sense to me. So hopefully that made sense to people, how I, put that, because your muscle activation is the same as your brain activation. You can create neural pathways by doing different exercises for both the brain and the body. And
and you make a few points about, you made a point about dancing and having fun and enjoying. I think that finding an activity or a workout that is fun, I think you can get better results just from the fact that you're enjoying it. I know not everyone enjoys working out. I enjoy it, but I don't know why, but I do. So I think that's important. Yeah. Having fun, finding something that's enjoyable, because then you'll stick with it and stay consistent. And then you talk about like sort of getting at that higher vibration. And I think surrounding yourself with the right people is really important. I'm sure this is something that comes up a lot. If people are surrounding themselves with people who are bringing them down or in this lower vibration, that it's that much more difficult to sort of break through break through barriers for themselves.
Yeah, stress is no joke. When stress elevates your cortisol, forget trying to lose weight. You're going to gain weight even if you're starving yourself. So, people can get rid of some stress, and get rid of stress is really just either changing your environment or processing your emotions and not letting things bother you anymore. And, in changing the mindset. I've had a client who just changed her relationship with her body, and she's been working out and eating and frustrated that she wasn't getting any results. And all of a sudden, when she switched the way she was treating her body, she's easily lost weight now. Because again, the body it's like you're in parasympathetic. The body can heal itself. But when you're stressed, you're not. And the body blocks any changes. And that's just basic normal stress stuff. But what's stress? Stress is emotion, guys. Everyone's like, oh, I'm stressed, especially men. I'm stressed. Yeah, well, that's emotion. Can we deal with emotions? Oh, no, I don't want to deal with my emotions. Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing is you're stressed, it's emotional, but you don't want to deal with your emotions. So you're going to okay to stay with the stress. So yes, I think all of it connects. And when you get into the right frequency around it, the body it'll help you. It'll do what you're asking it to do.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Where's the best place for people to find you? Your website?
Yep. jjflizanes.com, jjflizanes.com. Everything is there. All podcasts. I've got a couple free talks, like classes that you can take. One is how emotions affect healing and disease. Anyone dealing with a chronic condition or disease or pain, that might be something to look at. And again, you'll see all kinds of things. And if you want to look at the podcasts, those are there too.
And the name of your podcast is Nutrition and Alternative Medicine.
That's one of them. I have many. Spirit, purpose, and I have like 16. So let's just go with spirit, purpose, and energy. But you can go to health and wealth, nutritional alternative medicine, fit to love. Those,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. 16.
Yeah.
I can't even keep one going. I'm kidding. Oh, wow. This is great. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. And we will definitely put links in the show notes for people to find you. And have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again and have a great day.